September 21st, St. Paul, Minnesota. A gunman enters a bar and meets bouncer Eric Wasan.
So a comment that we always get or consistently get on the channel is that if I was in a fight, I would simply run away, or I'll never let that guy get too close to me. So this week I thought what I'll talk about is when do you run and when do you fight. At the end of the day, one of the things you want to bear in mind is you sometimes can't control distance in a real fight. Now I know most of you are going to say, well look, someone gets in my face, I step back. But what happens if you're in a bar, bus, wherever you are, the environment dictates the distance sometimes of the purpose or the nature of the attack. That's the easiest way of describing it. Okay, so what is the ideal reactionary gap? And that is really the point of the video today. Reactionary gap depends on a few characteristics. One of them is your physical ability, your weight, your age, and really your ability just to respond and react normally. Yeah. So you have to factor all of that into the distance you actually use to defend yourself, if you like. We always talk about a reactionary gap, a good distance. Now, a good distance technically would be about 2 arms length away. So put your arms up for me, Nick. Okay, 2 arms length away. So we're having a confrontation. It could be an argument of some sort. Guy's getting in my face. I'm backing away and giving him a lot of space. Okay, great, excellent. It works quite well. But then how do we factor controlling for weapons? What happens if he pulls a weapon on me? Now, depending on the type of weapon he pulls, depends on my reactions and my, if you like, my instincts of dealing with it. So if I'm too far away, for example, and you do pull a handgun out and you ask me, what's the time, governor? Because this is London and we say, what's the time, governor? If I'm too far away from you, all right, because I've got this perfect reactionary distance, for me to run in and cover that distance to deal with that is not going to happen. So what's my second choice? My second choice, run. But if I run, I'm still going to get shot, right? So same problem with a knife. But if I'm halfway here and I turn, you're going to stab me in the back. So essentially the interplay between weapons and distance are really what you need to consider. But what works better with a reactionary gap is position. So if I start to move off to the side just a little bit, okay, I'm in the end of what we call the fighting arc. Okay? Right. So the fighting arc is really this idea where the arm is the strongest in this position here. So any sort of action or any sort of movement, anything comes around on this position is the strongest. This side of the arm and this part of the arc is the weakest. So whenever I'm facing a person, I want good reactionary distance. That's absolutely fine, right? It's right, it's correct. You should do that. But I also don't want to be in the middle of your fighting arc. What I want to do is I want to be on the edge of the fighting arc. So in this case I'm here, or in this case I'm here. But either way I'm on the edge of the fighting arc with my hands up, obviously. And this gives me a little bit of a fighting chance. But the kicker is, and this is the main and most important thing, is your ability to react. And the older you are, the harder it will be to react. So you've got to look at all the factors that actually play into it. Distance, experience, environment, what's around you. So one of the things I often talk about is if there's objects around you, try to stand behind the object or stand by the object. So say for example there's a column over here, Nick's the bad guy, he's harassing me, and for example, I don't know, look mate, I don't want any trouble, and he pulls a weapon out on me, then essentially this is my friend. Okay, this is my friend. Look, I don't want any trouble. I want that sort of distance between us. I want to try to keep this because Nick's getting a little bit happy now with his cat. He's like, and I'm getting scared. But the point of what I'm trying to say is your reactionary distance includes using the environment as well. So the environment means whatever's in there. So objects, people sometimes. I mean, I've given stories before about being attacked and basically using other people and getting them involved by putting them between me and the attacker. These are sort of tactics that can actually work and essentially can save your skin. The main points are that there's 3 factors you need to take into consideration. 1 is your reactionary gap, 2 is your personal characteristics, and 3, most importantly of all, is really your experience and your ability to deal with the environment. So environment, characteristics, reactionary gap. And then all 3 work together to give you some sort of indication of what the ideal distance would be to manage that, to deal with an attack, and most importantly, to give you an understanding of when you run and when you fight. So reactionary distances or gaps are essentially something you need to manipulate and have fun with when the bad guy starts to attack you and comes at you. So, on that note, thanks for watching. We had a little bit of fun. We didn't do much today, but hopefully you got some points.